Today we are going to see 3 reasons why it may be difficult for you to learn sleight of mouth or even language patterns in general. And of course you are not alone. I'm seeing that from the perspective of the teacher. Many people have trouble with that. The first main reason is that aside from the fact it is not natural because it sounds like learning a new language, which in the end is not, because you already speak English or your whole native language, and it is just another way of using the words that you already know. But basically, people usually, number one reason, have trouble learning sleight of mouth or using language patterns fluently, intuitively, because they try to do too many things inside their head at the same time. They try to think about the best thing to say and at the same time to read body language of the person they watch or they talk to, and at the same time they have to cognitively understand what the person is talking about, without which you can't know how to reply and which pattern to use, because in order to know which pattern to use you need to have an answer in your head, and then the patterns are about how to say what you're going to say, but you need to know first of all what you're going to say. So trying to analyze too many factors at the same time is too much work, and it is paralyzing people somehow. It is causing them to have a kind of blank face where they and they don't know what to say anymore. This attempt at doing too many things inside your head at the same time, thinking about how to alter your voice to sound hypnotic, at the same time to alter your eye contact, at the same time to use language patterns. This overwhelm in the mind, this overloading habit, is causing some people to not be able to differentiate anymore an intuition and a fear. Some things you say may come out of fear. You're scared of being wrong, you're scared of not being able to help the client in therapy, for example, in coaching, and there are intuitions. An intuition is when your unconscious mind is telling you, say this is the next thing to say. When your mind is calm, quiet, and you are chilling, you are just listening in a quiet way to the person in front of you, you can differentiate that, because the fear will pretty often come with a sensation in your diaphragm or in your solar plexus or somewhere in your chest, a negative sensation of tension. An intuition is probably only in your head. It will probably be just a phrase you hear in your mind, or it may be a sensation again, but not a tense sensation, more a motivating sensation, if that makes sense, or something where you feel like you're pulled, drawn by something in front of you. When you can sense something like that, it is probably more an intuition and a positive intuition. When it's just attention and you have trouble breathing, it is a fear. And sometimes people listen to inside their head to what they are compelled to say next, but that thing they are compelled to say next will come sometimes with attention and suffocating, like they don't breathe anymore. In that case, it is only fear, and whatever you say out of fear will bring more problems and more trouble down the road. So when you're quite calm and you just listen carefully to the person, you can differentiate those and therefore only follow positive intuitions. But if your mind is cluttered with 1,000 things you try to remember and think about, you won't have the necessary calm mind to analyze what is it that I am feeling right now. The second reason is very specific. It is about chunking down, which is one pattern among the sleight of mouth chart. Chunking down means asking more specific information. It was initially the meta model developed by Bandler and Grinder in the 70s or in the early 80s, and it is about clarifying what is it that we are talking about. It is about animals. Which animals? How many? Where do they stand? Do they walk, or are they standing still? All those minor details, all the chunking down. Now, whenever you argue with somebody, or whenever you want to help somebody, or whenever you are in a verbal confrontation, the maximum, the best advice I can give for any kind of situation is to chunk down first. So even if you have an emotional trigger because you want to prove somebody wrong, Even with that, the idea, in the best world, would be to, first of all, refrain from being aggressive or trying to prove somebody anything, and just listening and questioning to chunk down the thing they are talking about. If they say, I hate people like you, instead of arguing back, oh, but people like me have invented this and that, so I'm smarter. What are they talking about first? You hate people like me. Fine, I can hear that. What specifically makes you hate people like me? Who is an example of a person like me that you have heard of, known about, or even met in real life? And what did they do to you to hate? This is a pretty strong feeling. So can you help me understand why do you hate people like me? And from there, I will know, oh, there is this one person you met when you were 25 years old in college. Ah, okay, so it is way more specific than just, oh, I hate people. There is one person. Can you tell me what happened? And from there, maybe just questioning will be enough to cancel all the debate or the argument, because you will know that you are not talking about the same thing. That is what would happen in the best world, where people would be able to communicate with each other and everything would be much better, but this is not happening. For a big cause, fear again, because people quite often are scared of hearing about something that could actually prove them wrong, or hearing about one detail they were not aware of that could actually prove them wrong. Or like they could hear about a detail they don't know how to argue against. So many times when people know the kind of sense that you could prove them wrong, they will try to interrupt you, to prevent you from elaborating on your ideas. And they will get more emotional, and even to the extreme, they would get back onto a personal attack. Oh, but it is only because you are a shitty person that you say that. Like they will bring something that has nothing to do with you back on, oh, it is because you are a bad person. This is like a last resort. When somebody is feeling stuck and they don't know how to defend anymore, they will try to use insults or try to attack you directly because they don't know how to defend anymore. Whereas, if you refrain whenever there is some fear coming up, if you could pause for a second and ask a question to the person who is arguing with you or with whom you may have a disagreement, asking them first, can you clarify, optimize, break down, explain all those little words you may add in your vocabulary more often, explain what it is you are talking about. With that in mind, then you can advance on the conversation, which might, in many instances, end up in a positive encounter. Sometimes you will just have extremely different perspective on something, and personally I would say I never have an argument anymore. I just have too many skills built up to still have an argument. If I do have something that might look like an argument, it will just be cancelled very fast because I can pinpoint right away why the person is upset or is feeling angry or whatever, and I can cancel and ease that down very fast before it escalates. So the argument will be ending in 20 seconds. And in the worst case scenario, what may happen is that you just encounter a toxic person or even a dangerous person, and in the end, in that case, the answer is, yeah, leave them alone, leave and never see them again. Or like whenever you are in a room with them, limit the interaction to only a few words, don't speak with them. Some people just drain energy out of you anyway, so you don't need to exchange with them. But the point is, chunking down first. Even if you're scared, they might say something that will get you stuck. They might say something you don't know how to argue against. Even with that fear, the best ability would be to chunk down first what they talk about, so that you will be able to reframe at the core and not stay on the surface of the bullshit they may talk about. And the last one, number 3, which will go hand in hand with the other ones, is to, when people try to use a sleight of mouth or to use language patterns on a topic they barely know about or barely understand. Many times people who learn sleight of mouth, they put too much emphasis on how the pattern works, which is normal because you are consciously into an attempt to figure that out. So you put more emphasis on how the pattern works. But in the end, the patterns work once you know what you're talking about. If you don't have the basic knowledge about what is the topic of conversation, You may have the best ability to use reframing in a very Ericksonian way. That won't do much because you just don't know enough about the topic, whereas the person you may be interacting with may have enough understanding of it. So the idea of chunking down, number 2, is not just to be nice, it is also to actually figure out all those micro details you may not be aware of, all those micro chunks you may not know about that may actually completely change your point of view. Sometimes it may happen. You may be stuck-minded on something like, oh, I know this is right, I know it is the truth, and someone may say something and you're like, oh shit, I didn't know about that. So now you may alter your perspective, maybe not completely change your mind, but alter your perspective and realize that not everything you say is right either. Maybe some things you believe into are not completely right either. Once you know enough details about a topic, you can just alter your perspective in the frame size. So coming back to the pattern, change the frame size. If you don't know what constitutes the frame size, how can you even defend yourself? Because the frame size is all the other details surrounding the topic. If you're not aware of all the details, how can you even respond? But to alleviate all of that and give a final solution for all of those altogether, it is as a summary, 2 of those 3 points. Before you attempt to reframe or argue or give a counter argument, before any of that, just figure out what is the central, core, elementary belief, perception the person is operating from. Their meta frame, kind of. What is the central belief they are operating from? Even better if you can figure out how this belief has been shaped into their mind from their early life. That might require a whole coaching session if you wanted to go there. May not be doable with anyone at any time. It is just about only using sleight of mouth or reframing or hypnotic patterns, whatever you want, only once you have figured out what is the core central belief they operate from. You investigate and figure out core beliefs by asking why. You hate those people. Can you tell me why? Because I have met so many of them and they are just do bad things to me. Chunk down, okay, what specifically? And then, okay, why do you say it was bad things? Because you felt hurt. Why did you feel hurt? You may not ask that as sounding like too harsh, but just elaborating from a friendly perspective. Why do they think this way? At some point, you are going to keep turning around the same thing non-stop. Like they keep coming back to this one thing, this element, this vision. They just can't let go of. Okay, now you are on the core belief. Once you are on the core belief, throw a combination of patterns. Not just one, but a combination. I recommend 3 patterns at the same time, 3 sleight of mouth patterns. And if you want to discover what are the best combinations possible between all the patterns, I have designed a new course down below in the description where you can learn from my experience after 10 years what are the 3 best combinations of patterns you can use in any situation at any moment with anyone. You use one of those combinations once you know what is the core belief people are operating from, that they can't let go of because it is super emotional. Something is too difficult to let go because they can't talk about it because it is too very harsh for them. Okay, once you are there, first of all, breathe out, calm down, and then use one of those combinations, and you will notice their perspective will change. They may literally be healed right away if it was in a therapy session, and in many cases they will at least not annoy you, be annoying anymore with you or around you, and they may even change their perspective, or they may know that when they talk with you, they should not even bring that up because you are going to destroy their narrative. You are just going to destroy their point of view, not that you want to, but you have the ability to do so. And when people sense that from you, this is what's happening to me all the time, when people sense you can just destroy them verbally at any moment, they are more careful. Not that you will never encounter any idiot, but at least people will just take more care about saying what they want to say without trying to sound like the smartest person in the room, because they know they are not, just not anymore the smartest person in the room. So you can check those combinations down below if you want to learn what they are and be more effective with your communication in solving conflicts, in reframing limiting beliefs whenever you work with a client and you have some trouble to figure out where should I bring this discussion because it is leading nowhere. You will find very easy combinations you can practice with, and now you have all the slides in the course for you can print them and have them in front of you in your office or anywhere to be reminded of whenever you get stuck in a conversation or whenever you hear a belief you don't really know how to reframe. Refer yourself back to one of the slides I have provided in the course and notice, okay, how could I reframe that belief with that structure? And you will notice the right ideas starts to emerge in your mind, even maybe sometimes things you never thought about, that may completely change the way you are going to reframe this or that belief. It is down below if you want to check it out, be my guest, and then I will see you in the next video. Keep practicing.